Hi guys, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog series. Today we're going to talk to you about the timelines of each element of your relocation to the UK, so how long each bit is going to take. Okay, so the first part is going to be all of the prerequisite documents for the GMC. So mainly we're talking here about your OET and IELTS or your PLAB and postgraduate qualification. This bit is the one bit that we're not really going to put a timeline on actually, because of course some doctors might be able to pass their OET and IELTS straight away. Some doctors might pass their PLAB first time, some it may take 3 attempts. So we're not going to put a timeline on that one. Obviously it will be down to individual circumstances. We hope that it doesn't take you too long. Make sure you revise hard and that will keep the timeline down to a minimum hopefully. Okay, so the second part is your GMC registration itself. So once you've got all of the documentation together and you send it to the GMC, they will get back to you within 5 working days to respond and let you know that your application's been received and if there are any further documents that are outstanding at that point. If there are further documents that they need from you or they need to clarify anything, they will write back to you and you'll have 14 days to then respond with your follow-up documents or further evidence to provide to them. At that stage, if everything's there, you'll be invited to ID check and you'll have 3 months from that time to attend your ID check. That's obviously under normal circumstances. We do appreciate that COVID has changed things and that face-to-face ID checks haven't been a thing recently. So all in all, you can probably add those together: 5 days to acknowledge response, 14 days for you to respond with follow-up evidence, 3 months to attend ID check. The overall timeline we're talking about is around 1 to 3 months for GMC registration. Okay, so every doctor obviously will take different amounts of time to get to the point where they receive an interview. If you're a junior doctor, it can be far more competitive. If you're a senior doctor in a very niche speciality, then of course you may be waiting for the right role to come along. So that bit is a little bit variable, but hopefully you'll get to your interview point soon enough. From the point of being interviewed though, how long will it take to actually to find out your feedback, whether you've been made an offer or not? And usually that will take around a week. Don't be alarmed if it can take a little bit longer. It doesn't mean you haven't got the job or anything like that. It can just be that they've arranged a series of interviews over a few different days, and they need to wait for all those interviews to happen before they make you an offer. Once you've heard the feedback and you've been told that there is going to be an offer coming your way, the next thing to expect will be an offer letter from HR formalising the fact that you're actually being made that offer. That will usually take around a week as well. So keep in mind that it's not always a simple case for HR saying, right, dear Dr. So-and-so, here's your offer, sending it out to you. There's often a few layers of bureaucracy and people have to tick some boxes and say, yes, we've completed the interview feedback form, and yes, we're happy to offer them that salary, and this is going to be the exact job description and the rota and everything they're expected to do. So there's a few things that will go on in the background there in that week or so. Once you've received the offer, there may be some negotiating to do, there may be things that you need corrected on there, whatever it might be that you need to discuss. So I would always allow an extra week for that as well. And again, keep in mind that if you do have queries, you can make those queries to the HR department, but that HR department will then need to take it to perhaps a very busy consultant who's got lots and lots of things to do, and it may take a few days for them to respond. So be patient at this stage of the process. It's not unusual for it to take a month from interview to actually receiving the full and final offer that you then go on to accept. Okay, so the visa bit is a little bit more complicated. There are a few steps to talk through here. The first thing you're going to need is your certificate of sponsorship. And in theory, if your HR department have got all of your details, you've sent them across your passport and your documentation for this, they can issue it pretty much immediately. So it is just a case of logging onto a portal, the SMS portal, typing in all of the details, and then it will spit out at the other end a certificate of sponsorship. Now, I use the word immediate, but of course, keep in mind that HR departments are very, very busy. They're not just processing your COS, they're not just dealing with COSs, they're dealing with lots and lots of things, so it can take a little bit of a time for them to come back to you with that. So again, be patient with that. It's one of those things that they also have to pay for, so they have to get budgetary sign off before they can actually put in the credit card details and get it paid for. But once you've got your COS, and assuming that you've got all of your other documentation ready to go, you can make your online application for the visa. And from the beginning of August, obviously, you'll be looking at the health and social care visa. And the good news with that is that the government have confirmed it will be a 3-week turnaround from your biometric appointment date. So the first thing once you've made the application is that you'll be invited to a biometrics appointment and given a series of dates that you can choose from. Usually that's not too far into the near future, so you're talking maybe a week or two before you can get a date that's convenient for you. And from that date that you attend, you should then get a response within 3 weeks, and that response of course will be that hopefully that you've got your visa, and you receive your passport back with a vignette or sticker stamp visa, which will allow you entry to the UK. Currently, that previously used to be a 30-day vignette, but currently they are extending those to 90 days because of all the travel restrictions around COVID. So from that point onwards, you'll have 90 days to travel to the UK from the intended start date that you put down on your visa application. Okay, so there'll be a whole host of pre-employment checks for you to complete as well, and you can be doing these throughout, so you might start them from the point that you've been made the job offer and work through them whilst you are applying for your visa as well. References, passport copies, police clearance checks, all those things are going to be needed by your employer, but hopefully the kind of 1-2 month time that it takes for your visa, most of it can be completed. Now, on arrival in the UK, the one thing that you're probably not going to have been able to do from overseas is your occupational health clearance. So usually when an international doctor arrives in the UK, in the first few days that they arrive, they'll be booked in for an occupational health appointment. And the turnaround for from having your bloods taken to receiving the results back is usually a few days, not usually longer than 1 week. So once you've got that, you should be in a position where you're cleared to work and get going. But do make sure you allow for the fact that when you first arrive in the UK, you're probably not going to be starting work the following day or 2 days after you arrive. It's usually a week or two after you get here. That also, of course, allows you for time to open bank accounts and find your long-term rental accommodation and all of the kind of semantics of arriving in a new country. Okay, so of course there's lots and lots of variables and lots of elements to that process, so it can be a really differing amount of time for each individual doctor. To give you an overall summary though, the average amount of time that it takes our doctors to arrive in the UK, so that's from the point of accepting their job to the point of actually starting the first day in the department, that is around 90 to 100 days. So you're talking about 3 months. That's an average journey. Of course, some doctors can take a little bit longer and some are able to start much quicker as well. Very much depends on your individual circumstances. So hopefully that's been of some use in telling you a bit more about timelines from being interviewed to working in the UK. Of course, as I said, everyone's individual circumstances are different, so if you want to discuss yours and you want to talk through when you might possibly be able to arrive in the UK and start your job, then please do get in touch. As always, we're happy to help, and we'll put the contact details up at the end of the video.